Hey, Bri, doesn't it suck that the boss is always over our shoulder when we're trying to talk?
Jay, he should be entertained by us. Let's get out of here and finish this conversation.
All right, as long as it's not work related.
Jay,
B.
how's it going?
I cannot complain, Mike. Well, I could, but I'm not going to. I'm good.
We have time for that. I want to welcome everyone to the work-related podcast.
We are related by work on Twitter, and as long as this is not one of those 10-minute surprise podcasts, then I might find room to complain.
Nobody was expecting that one.
Yeah, neither was I. That was a great surprise. I wish you surprised me that when it came out, instead of telling me that it was going to come out.
I know.
You're the worst at keeping secrets.
Yeah.
Your buddy
sometimes
Tariq
I
would be
can't
very
do it.
surprised to know how bad you are at keeping secrets.
Right?
But I was thinking, like, not that it didn't have its own fluff in its own 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because, whatever. I'm always talking around my own ideas, or it sounds like I'm fumbling even right now. I was like, oh my God, that's almost like our whole 2-hour podcast edited to be 10 minutes worth of real content. But you know what? I kind of enjoyed it because I like the conversation. Not that I always want to talk God shit or religion or whatever it was at the point. I think that's why you saved it.
Yeah.
You're always fucking.
Well, no, I thought about it after. So when I did it, I had already edited the first podcast, our original podcast, and then I thought about it while you said it.
Well, because
at the end of that episode, you said that's a podcast before a podcast, and that clicked with me. And I said we don't have a show next week, so I should look to see if something was enough there. I knew there was something there, but I know some of the stuff had to get cut out, right? Because of certain names and stuff we used. But so I wanted to see if there was enough there. And if that was going to be 5 minutes, I wouldn't have done it.
So the ironic thing is nothing we do is 5 minutes.
No.
Right? Like that, everything that's even.
No, 5 minutes after editing.
Oh, I see.
I wouldn't have done it.
So when I said that was a podcast before our podcast, because that almost happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's not it sounds frustrating, and it's not I'm not real frustrated about it, but there's even if it's not a hard out or do whatever, it's just oh my God, why aren't we doing this on our show?
Yeah.
We end up getting in a show. First of all, we're trying to do less work-related stuff because we realize you're an important figure now, and we talk shit about people. If this ever gets out, I gotta be careful on what I say. Right?
Consequences.
There might be consequences, and 89 episodes in, it's a little bit late for that. But you got to start trying. We're trying to, in this aspect, get better.
Yep.
It's not better in a way that I like using these people as characters, and this little situation that people that are working in an office or now from home or whatever in a white collar situation only have assumptions of us blue collar folk.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. And then we try to talk hoity toity, or, we know we're in that blue collar group, but we're something different because we talk about it, and, we have these other ideas, and we have conversations that are better than some of the blue collar conversations that we have.
For sure.
So I've heard from my other friends, some friends that this guy, I like this character or this situation, and they go, so that's why I'm using, but I'm not allowed to do that. I can't. They're real people.
They are.
These are just fucking characters I've made up.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said they get to come and defend themselves. I'm the one to get to say it or whatever. And if it's my opinion, it's right.
I agree.
I
agree.
But when we had most of our, so now what's happened for the past 20 or at least is that we try to get all that out before we start.
Yes.
Right? Tell me what Booby did this time. Tell me what this guy did that time, so we don't say it on air.
Yes.
And if we think about it, if we go back, we probably have less and less content on our show about that.
Yeah.
Almost in the same way when we started out dissecting solos.
Yeah. Which was a great start.
It was an excellent start.
It was like a exercise, like a workout.
This whole way, all the way to 89. A lot of people do this. They might not even get to 89.
Oh, yeah.
And I can see the growth in it just from myself and how we get to our points or whatever. Just even making it a more interesting conversation. When I was talking to I'll get to my tragic hip and my doctors and physios. When I was visiting Julio this week, and he was asking stuff, it came out because I just ran out of things to say about him or whatever, and he was just asking, what do I do now? I don't play hockey, all these things. What do I do? It's
did you say it?
I did. I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him the name of it or anything like that. But I was like, yeah, well, you know what? I found myself doing this, and he was like, what? He's like, really? And he was like, yeah, blah blah blah, this and so I told him a little bit of the dynamic. But he said, well, what is it about? Like, well, that's the thing. It's
How
not
long do you have?
It's not a, well, I said it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
I told him it kind of naturally started. I told him I work in an industry where it's more and more younger guys coming in. And I said, you don't, whatever. I've said it on before. And all of a sudden you have this friendship and you have this background. And I told him, I said, and people know this, but it took you like almost a year of us talking about shit that I got my ideas from other podcasts, right? Like bring up Rogan, bring up other things. And then it took you a while before you felt comfortable enough to say, yeah, by the way, I have one. And I was like, what? And I don't know how you would think I would react, but I was just like, I loved it. And I listened to it and got us to this. And then you were like, we should do it and this and that. You're just a bug. So, I like finally called you out on it and we did it. So I said, it just came naturally. It came like fun and this, and said, the idea of it being about something is a great idea, but that's not what we do.
No.
And that's not what people who I've heard that like it, they don't want. I mean, they can get that somewhere else.
Yeah.
That we're not about to change it, but in the evolution, like you said, like going from the solos, it was a definite starting point. And then, like talking about our work connection was another leap in evolution from there.
Yeah.
And then we like, I guess, I don't know what the next evolution is, or, what I mean? Like, I guess we're kind of in the middle of it, but having these conversations that, like what you just did, make a bonus episode out of, this is why we started the whole thing.
Exactly. Like that was the original. I think that's what would be the hardest thing to explain to people, but it is very simple to explain in those terms. If I would say like that 10-minute episode is this podcast is basically about conversations we had at work.
And that's it is how you should say it.
But it's not real. It is, but like that doesn't explain anything.
But that's why the opening becomes almost more perfect.
Exactly. But like, what does that
you're
tell
right.
you? If I said to a random person, this is
you're
about
right.
conversations we had at work, they're going to think, oh, are they having conversations about work? Are they having conversations at the coffee machine? No, we're welders. Are you having conversations by the welder? Like, what are you really
You're right.
doing?
Well, in this podcast world, that's almost what it's become.
Yeah.
Like that's what, like now we're like in a Lego universe on YouTube, but it's not the only thing. Like there's so many other things, but the people we like on that, they seem that's all they do.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not, but we've not pinpointed ourselves down like that. Like I get it. That's what makes a podcast like become popular, right? Like it comes with an idea. I'll bring up like my favorite murder. Like there's people who like true crime stuff and they talk. My favorite part about that is the two girls talking. It's their friendship.
Yeah.
And that's what I've liked about almost every podcast that I listen to. It's funny enough when it comes to Rogan, those are the ones I like less now, right? Like he's such a like a strong figure, like a opinionated person, or whatever. Like he's kind of open, like you're bringing people in. But when he's just chatting with his friends, like over 1,500 episodes, I feel I've heard it before.
Yeah.
And I don't get as much about it as I did the first few times I've heard him have repeat like comedian guests on, right? Like I'll almost skip those and just go to the ones where it's like a scientist I've never heard of, or journalist I've never heard of, and get some information from that way. Or even like they have like he had Robert Kennedy Jr. on, running for president. I don't know what he's all about. He says these things. It's like, okay, like I can put an opinion to the face that I've heard about, like on Twitter or whatever. And so I kind of like that. But you're right. Like his first question is, what is it about? And it's like, yeah, that's not what we're about. We're not about anything.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I've said it's very selfish. My opinion or my thought process on this is because I just enjoy talking.
Yeah.
You enjoy talking.
Yeah.
You like must enjoy like listening to me. I enjoy listening to you. And so we're not trying to get anything out of it. You can try to sway me on things, and I can I think you're a better listener. I don't know if you go and change anything about you after we talk about something, but it's like I said, you don't get 2 hours with your friends to just sit and talk.
No, that doesn't happen.
You have fucking like you have game nights, or you have other things involved, and there's always some other purpose to it.
Yeah.
And you never really get past that surface level. And so when we were doing like the pre-podcast, that's why that statement, like, oh, we just did a podcast before the podcast, I've said a million times.
Yeah.
And now you're just like starting to exploit it.
Yeah.
Or that one time.
I think that's actually probably the first time we've caught it on recording.
Yes. Well, you have to check the levels and do all those things. And you're a
Yeah.
sneaky fuck. You like don't like telling people your true agendas.
Yeah, no.
You like keeping something back or whatever.
Yeah, it adds to the how genuine something is.
And when I was listening to that 10 minutes, so it would be probably better for the people and even us if we were wanting to be better at this, to do more versions of that. Not strictly 10 minutes, but how long-winded are we?
Very. But do you want we could easily split this one podcast into 5.
Yes,
really
that's what I was
wanted
thinking.
to.
I'm not thinking to do it, but like that is okay. So on a AI producer level, like that might be the first thing they say is like, you know what, there's 5 different subjects you guys talked about like long-windedly, and you can't expect somebody to just listen to that for the whole time just because you might like listening to something like that. Like that's not going, but that's not really our goal.
No,
I don't know what, like it's odd to say that you wouldn't accept that goal. Like becoming more popular or something like that, like quitting your job and being a podcaster, all that shit.
I don't know if I would. I would. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to do all the legwork to get that to be a real thing.
Yeah, that's the hard part. I mean, yeah, like I don't know. I'm very weird. I'm very weird into when it comes to things like that. Like, I don't know if I could. I think I could do it full time, but I don't know if I want to do something like that full time. I think I would do it. Right. Say our podcast got popular and they're like, yeah, quit your job and do a podcast. I don't know how much I would want to.
If they gave me the money that I get now for work, just about like fucking regular paid job, you know what I mean, type of thing, and they said, I want you to concentrate on that, I would do it in a heartbeat. Not because I don't like my job there,
Yeah.
but because there's so much room of growth here. You have to convince me to use the new welders. You have to convince me to maybe shadow fucking people, all that kind of stuff. And I have to just admit, like, I can't just hold my ground with my stubbornness. Like, okay, I should do that in the name of things. That's not really my goal. And I do have to like, and so whatever. So I like I'm stagnant in that position, and I don't mind that because it's just, it pays the bills, and I don't have like the bullshit of other jobs, or you know what I mean. Like I like the bullshit that I deal with is good enough for me.
Yeah.
And so when it gets a change, that's where I, you know what I mean, like freak out a little bit because how much is this going to affect my personal happiness? So I kind of like that. But if it came to this thing, like that can't last forever. I might need to fucking get my hip replaced. Like all these things, like I'm going to have to go off work for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like all these things, like, and then when, like, so say that happens in a year, right? Like I'm not trying to get off topic or whatever, but like in that, so say I get a long time, I might not be able to do, so I might not be able to weld for the next 15 years. Like I could retire, you know, whatever, and just do nothing. But if I can get better at this and like do more, you know what I mean? Like you got your studio going, you know what I mean? Like you already have 2 podcasts going. You can produce another, you know what I mean? Like say, as Mara wants to have to do a gaming podcast and she has a friend you like and whatever, it'd be foolish to not encourage that if you had this, the studio to let her do it.
Yeah.
And then you would become nothing to do with it other than just producing it.
Well, that I would do. See, that's the difference. I think I would rather produce a whole bunch of podcasts than be the, like, I don't want to be the guy.
That's hard for you to say when you already do 2 of them.
I know.
I get it too, because that's what I would think too. But if I lean into that, then you're just like, well, why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? Like, you know, I feel exposed, right? Like it's not comfortable, but in a long range like thing, like, well, what, like, why wouldn't you? Like, this is like taking almost like a hobby. In this fact, my hobby is talking. Right? Like I don't like I don't have nothing else.
Talker.
I have nothing else to give. Like, you know what I mean? Like other than my random opinions, my willingness to listen, and like the scary thing is willing to give your opinion out.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no consequence. Like, well, this is where I got to stop talking about people at work and such, because I'm barely finding what the consequences of me talking into a microphone are. And I've always said, like I said, like they have every right to come back on the show and defend whatever we've said about them. And I would be willing to say that. And the more things you hear yourself say, like I said, like that's why the 10-minute one is perfect. It's like, oh my God, I ramble so much for 2 hours. Like I hate when I don't get the worst is when I hear something and I say it and it's like, already think of a better way to say it. And there's nothing wrong with that. This has already made me, I think, a better listener with not just you, with other people in other conversations. And so I would do it. I would see the potential of it. Like, I don't know why anybody would want to pay me the same as I do for welding to do this. But I don't know how the Brave New World is going to work, right?
Hmm.
And I would never have thought I would have done this before. Like I said, most of my friends don't know about it, right? Because it feels like shoehorned to say it.
So, are you willing to tell more people about it?
I'm almost dying to. Like, I need to be
Really?
restrained from it. Like, I'm almost just waiting for the opportunity to say it. So that's why that's why Julio knows about it, because there was a pause in the conversation, right? Like, we were talking shit. So I finally went to the doctor. Like, I'm not jumping topics here or whatever,
Yeah,
but this is when it's hard to do self-care on myself, but slowly but surely.
Yeah.
So last conversations I said to the people in you was that, well, I was having trouble, and then I was doing the physio, and then the physio guy said, yeah, you might need a hip replacement. You should tell your doctor, get some x-rays. And I procrastinated on that.
Yep.
Got into an accident with Elmo.
Yep.
And so I used these reasons to not do it. Then I was like, you know what?
A lot of excuses.
A lot of excuses. That's what I'm agreeing with. See, I'm not going to fight you on that. I'll agree with you. And so I was like, you know what? I have to go and call my doctor. I got to get these x-rays. And so I finally called him and got an appointment and went there on Tuesday. And just like the same thing that my physio Julio did was that he grabbed my leg. Like, I told him, yeah, I'm having these issues. My new physiotherapist says I should get x-rays because he thinks the arthritis in my hip is really bad. And so it took him a second to move my leg one way. He was like, oh, geez, yeah. Like, this is bad.
So let me ask you, did you instantly get worried?
I'm kind of worried for
Yeah.
a few reasons.
No. I know you're worried now-ish, but did you instantly get worried then when he said, whoa, like, what the fuck?
So part of me, I was probably less worried because it gave me a reason why things have been hurting me so much.
Okay.
Right? Like, I went from quitting playing hockey because my leg was sore. It was like a groin issue. And I just thought, because I was a fat fuck, no training in hockey, just flopping around for over 20 years.
And for the audience, you've been complaining about your groin and your leg and your thigh, your quads and stuff for freaking at least a year.
Almost more since you've known, yeah.
Yeah,
So
for a long time.
So I've just considered it for age. I just considered it for all kinds of reasons.
which is fair.
I never even, but it's not. There's a level of self-care for some reason that I don't give hard to give myself.
Okay.
It's almost one of the things I love about Tammy. We talk about these love language things, all these stupid shows we're watching. And the fact that she cares about me so much makes me want to care about myself more.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a level, even you, just when I say yeah, I didn't make a doctor's appointment, the look on your face is just, you're so retarded, Jay. What the fuck?
That's exactly
and
what I was thinking.
I can't explain it away. I have to be like, yeah, that's the worst thing somebody could do. Why? And I can get into a whole other deeper thought of why, just get to this, self-care, all that stuff. It's why don't I just call the doctor?
Mhm.
I think it's more of a suck it up mentality. Of course, you're 53, you're almost 53 years old. You're going to have some bumps and bruises.
Yeah.
Right? This is what stopped me from being a fat fuck. I tried to get better. So I was just thinking it was used abuse, just sore muscles, right? I never dawned on me that there could be an underlying level to it. And so, when they tell me, when he grabbed my hip instead of hip surgery, a lot of things went through my head, but it almost I've almost traced everything back to the last game of hockey I played, where I was so sore afterwards, right? Where I couldn't move as good as I wanted to. And it's just I've been compensating for a bad hip all these years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know my knees are fucked, but it's just again, every Randy you just saw it work, or say he fucking walks with a bit of a fucking limp. He could, this is what happens to old people.
Yeah.
And so
middle-aged people.
the old people. And so I'm talking about me now. I can say all the words. And so when they give you a reason for it, it almost oh. And
I've heard about that, but that's what that is.
but it's almost it makes more sense. I'm
Yeah.
not scared any more than I was scared before.
How many surgeries have you had?
I've had 4 surgeries.
Mhm.
I had my knees operated on when I was in 89, 90. I've had skin graft probably 85,
You had a
86.
skin graft?
I had an ATV, the back of an ATV. Yeah, my foot got ripped in half.
What the fuck, Jay?
Here,
You
sorry,
never
people.
told me this. Oh shit.
That skin is from my thigh. That whole part of my foot was like a moon crater when I was 15 years old.
I feel deceived.
Well, when did it come up?
This whole time I thought you had two the same feet.
You thought it was like a normal. So even this has compromised my foot strength. Like a lot of meat went out of there.
No. How did you get to an accident in an ATV that you had to get a skin graft and you never mentioned it?
Oh, so this is, I got lots of stories, I guess.
Jay, what the fuck? You better get right into it.
So I was about 15 years old. A fucking older guy who lived on the same street as me. He had all the toys. They had like two dirt bike, like ATVs.
Yeah.
We were living in Streetsville at the time.
Yeah, I was about to say.
We were living in Streetsville, and
That's Mississauga for people who don't know.
Well, we're getting specifics, but it was not a rural town. Like now, it's a bit built up more than it was.
Yeah.
There was the middle school that I went to was like right around the corner. So this guy that I was hanging out at the time, he had already been in jail. He was he was a bit of a troublemaker type of person or whatever.
Okay.
So we might have had a few drinks. Like he would come over to my house because nobody was at my house, and we would I remember he brought gin or like whatever. Like he had lots of problems, but he was like me, you know what I mean? Like I like hanging out with him or whatever. So we hopped on this fucking ATV. I was on the back. And so there's no foot pegs for the guy in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So just picture I'm on the back of a four-wheeler. My legs kind of splayed out. Like I'm the bitch. I'm holding on fucking the back and we just started. We're in a fucking school yard area. It wasn't busy. We go through a playground. We had been on the bike for a couple minutes. He goes over a fucking bump. And so my feet are kind of hanging out like that. My foot gets caught on the back tire. Right? Like, so the top of my foot gets caught on the back tire. And you know how like you could stop your bike or my foot got jammed with the wheel and the ground. So the part of the foot I just showed you is road rashed.
Oh, God.
Gets fucking dragged across the ground with the whole bike. We flip over and we balance ourselves. I look, my fucking shoe's been ripped off. My sock is gone and my foot is like a big red mess. This guy fucking looks, he goes right away. Again, he's a troublemaker, ne'er-do-well, whatever you want to say, right away. And I'm like 15 years old. I have no idea what I'm doing.
How old is he?
He was about 22.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know why he's hanging out with me. But, and so he was like right away, holy fuck. Like, it's just like, he's mad at me for fucking not keeping my feet where they were. I told you. Like, and he was a fucking scary looking dude. Yeah. And he fucking, he goes, get back on. We gotta go. I'm like, I'm not getting on that bike. I'm like, fucking get on. And then so we get back to my house, right? Then
you went back on?
We went, of course, he fucking, and so he goes, oh man, this is bad. I remember fucking, we got a bottle of peroxide.
Oh no.
Poured it
peroxide
all over my foot.
Yeah.
And it must have been in so much shock. Like it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
But again, you saw it was like a big, deep crater. I just see it all like fizz up. Like all this peroxide doing its thing and whatever, blah, blah, blah.
That probably saved your foot.
That saved my foot. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would have got to the hospital eventually. But so there was like a fucking mail carrier, had one of his little fucking mail carrier trucks.
Yeah.
And this guy was like, he fucking comes out, he goes, you need to drive us to the fucking clinic or whatever. And he was like, you're like, again, he's a fucking pretty intimidating dude. And so he got this mail deliverer to fucking drive us to a clinic in Streetsville. We were there for fucking 2 minutes before they realized you have to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And then so I went to the hospital and I can't believe it. Well, I can believe I never told you the story. So, so I go to the hospital and go with him and he might have jetted after that. And so we had to call my parents. I was in the waiting room for like emergency waiting room for however long.
Were they mad?
Who?
Your parents.
So I wasn't living with my mom at the time. I was living with my dad. Yes, but I was so worried that he would be mad that I was on an ATV. I've always wanted dirt bikes. I got a dirt bike before then, like with my own money, all this shit, and he would never let me have it. So I was so fucking weird. He knew I was lying, but I told him, I said, this happened on a bicycle.
Oh, wow.
I said I was on a bike. I said I fucking wiped out, and I stayed true to that. Like he went to his grave thinking that was through my mind.
Yeah,
my friend told
exactly.
him. No, he talked like Johnny talked to him and told him what happened for real.
Oh.
And me and my dad never had the conversation about the fact that I lied to him about it. So when I eventually got into the emergency and the doctor said, yeah, you need a fucking operation like tonight. And so, yeah, they fucking operated me on that night. They took skin from my fucking thigh and I was laid up in hospital. they'll tell you more stories. But so I was probably in hospital for like a couple of weeks. But the next day or a couple of days after, while I was still in there, my dad would come and visit, and this other guy would come and visit. And my dad's so like, I was on all this medication, and my dad snuck beers into the hospital room for me.
Nice. What a dad. Come on.
I ended up puking my guts out because I
that's
fucking
not
should
good.
not have been drinking beer. I was
That's
fucking
not good.
15 years old.
Oh, come on,
And
Jay.
yeah, I know. Hey, cool dad. And I kept that. I didn't have to like keep bringing it up all the time. But yeah, like I told them that's what it was, and we just went to that. We just kept that as the gospel, and I never had to bring it up. And probably even more so, like I never did real rehab on it. Never did real anything. I just went along my business. You could probably you could still see the rectangle of skin where they took off from my thigh.
Really?
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
Beginning of this conversation,
that's
that was
2 surgeries. Let's go to the next one. This is getting interesting.
what was I could be fucking wrong. What would have been my next surgery? Probably fucking missing something. Younger, I broke my collarbone.
Oh, yeah?
I cracked my collarbone. They didn't really do much surgery for that. Yeah, it might only be the 2.
That's good.
How about you?
Me? I've never had surgery.
You just like you're the boy in the plastic bubble here.
Yeah, basically.
Have you ever hurt yourself?
Oh, man. Fuck, yeah. I got hit by a car on a bicycle. I've crashed motorcycles. I've been in car accidents. But I've never actually hurt myself to the point, like I've never broken a bone, right? Like I've never had surgery, like I said. Like, no, I've never had anything crazy.
That's lucky, man. I mean,
Yeah.
especially coming away from motorcycle crashes with nothing.
Oh, yeah, 3 motorcycle crashes I've had.
I've hospitalized for concussion.
Oh, yeah? How
I
was
was
that?
I was like in like 11 or 12, and I fucking wiped out on a jump on my bike.
Oh, man.
And like I remember just fucking feeling all woozy. Like I don't remember the specifics because it was a concussion. And the I had to stay overnight. So I mean, I could be thinking the lingering effects of that, like going on. Okay, so this is nothing to do with things that are going on. I went to my doctor, and so he grabbed my hip, and like just like the physiotherapist right away, he goes, "Oh yeah, this isn't right." And then he heard my knees clacking, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we gotta X-rays both your knees." He grabbed my other hip. He goes, "Yeah, this one's fine, but this one here." And I'm like, "Yes, why is it?" Again, nobody's telling me why it hurts in certain spots in my leg, and they just bring it up to just compensating for the bad hip.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of scared a bit about it, but I mean, it's not as scary as, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it's just like usually like an old man problem, but a younger person than me, like one of Tammy's friends, she's had a bad hip for her whole life or something. She recently had hip like replacement surgery, and she's loved it. Like she's so much better off for it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of all the pain I'm in now, and if that's what the solution is, then I almost can't wait for it.
Yeah.
Like that's my feeling about it now.
Surgery sucks.
Yes, but so does limping around.
Yeah.
Like I can only compensate for so long. This is what it's realizing. This is like, even when it comes to like talking to the doctor or doing whatever, like I gotta be honest. You gotta be honest with yourself, right? Like just don't stick to your guns in such a way. It comes down to like when you talk about shadowing people or using the welders. It's like, I have my reasons, but how my, not just the progress of the company or anything else, but the progress of me as a person, like being affected by me not accepting that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's never as bad as you think it could be.
But it could be better.
If you take a bit of control of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like don't let it happen to you. Right? Like if this is a problem, like, and it gets that way if these are grander subjects than I think of or whatever, right? But I wouldn't want to be a politician because I think it's ineffective. But then how can I just sit here and complain about politicians if I'm not willing to do something about it?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I try not to complain about politicians.
Yeah, and how many times have these politicians affected your life? So you do know it's effective.
Well, you don't realize it.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what, like some who
Just
isn't.
look at all the fucking bike lanes.
But that's, yeah, so that all of a sudden something like that happens.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and then you can just like, oh, fuck Trudeau. And it's not, like, he inherited some of this, you know what I mean? Like it's because nobody else is willing to step up and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could say whatever, the whole system is kind of fucked or whatever, but you're just trying to, fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? Just trying to justify it for yourself. Just like, yeah, they're never going to change, or you know what I mean, or whatever. They're always doing it, but what are you doing to change it? And what you're good about is just like, yeah, sure, I'll take the supervisor job. Like, it's just open. Like, you know what I mean? Like, none of these other guys that have more seniority over me is going to do it.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I'll do it. And then you now have control of a whole shift, and it's warranted. Like, you deserve it. It's not like anybody else, but like has more years of you. It's just like, yeah, they've never tried, so you can't complain if I make a decision now that affects you.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that you are a very strong personality. That you'll love that.
Let's go.
Like, yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, you'll relish the opportunity to say that to somebody if it came down to it. You're also smart enough and good enough to not have to say it in those words. You can
Say
say
it in a nice way.
You can say it in a look.
Very
You could just like,
political.
yeah, well, that's why I'm here. You know what I mean? And
Or I just say it sounds like a you problem.
I like that. That's one of my favorite phrases too. And that's where it comes to, sorry, Boob. When it comes to Booby on there, it's just like, yeah, we can still rail about the things that we rail about him on about that, but he is a lead hand on the night shift because he was willing to do that.
Yeah.
And he didn't go about it in the right ways in a million different ways, but he did enough of it that, you know what I mean? Like, he's ahead of certain people that couldn't imagine that they're ahead of him like that.
Yeah.
And it's part of this brave new world. And yeah, you can rightfully like whatever, like I don't know, right? Like just stay in your stupid bubble. But like, I don't think that's a way to go.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you want to like do all these, like, I'm going to change our list here for whatever, right? But
Change the list. Go for it.
Rogan had a guest on that it wasn't trying to convince Joe Rogan of like a creator of our universe, right? Like, if that's what you want to call God or whatever, like God used to be, and I'm being generalized type of thing, was like the Earth was the center of the universe. And if you believe in the science that we've been taught or whatever, then, we realize that's not the case. Like, we revolve around the sun.
For a correction, God never says that we're the center of the universe. None of the Bibles ever say that we are the only ones.
Well, how do I say that then? Where does that thought come from?
That's because we're human and we think everything revolves around us.
Okay.
Because God only says he created the universe and he created heaven and he created earth. He didn't say he didn't create anything else. He didn't say there's not another story on another planet 6,000 light years away.
Well, that's what I like about you.
Yeah.
That's where your fucking earworm of this topic can live and breathe in my thought process, because that's way better than listening to a hypocrite or a hypocritic thought that we are the center of everything, that we are that, like, because
it's naturally how we are.
I agree. And I think that element of that religious talk really annoys me. Right. And in a grander thing, if all wars are started because we believe this and we believe that, it just seems so trivial. And then if you're like far removed from it and the more accepting of your, like, in a melting pot kind of way, then the further I put myself away from it and not have to live in the details of it and have conversations with you that say something like that, then I can be like, okay, that's a grander thought. That does allow for some miracles to kind of happen, like the miracle of life type of thing. And I get caught in the nitty gritty of things of just like paying the bills and working and doing all that. And it's like, it's not affecting me in that type of way. And it really doesn't. And what I don't like is, again, it's more of a thought process of societies that live and breathe through the quote unquote word of God. But that's really, for a long time, that was my only experience of it. Not because I ever went to church. No, not that, and that's one of the best gifts that my parents ever gave me.
You've never went to church?
I've never been to church.
Yes,
for weddings. Yeah, because it's gross.
You've never been to a service?
Never been to a service. I've never had. My parents were brought up, I guess, Protestant, but they came from, like I said, like England, where they hated the heavy-handedness of their religion. Right, because they came from a place where the Christians were divided by Protestants and Catholics and all these other things. Yeah. And the rule of the law was so much by that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like kings declared this or that. You know what I mean? Like, and so they had to live by this grander rule. And I love the country I come from because it was just like, yeah, freedom of religion means no religion. That's what I interpreted it as. Like, freedom of religion allows me to not be dictated by any of that. And the
You're
more
just dictated by the Queen
in a grant, yeah, or Trudeau,
or Trudeau,
yeah, whatever
or
it is,
president, or whatever it is.
yeah, that's a person, and that I do. Like I said, I respect the police. Like I do respect laws. I don't
We're
want to.
all dictated by religion.
We are not all dictated.
No,
by religion.
all these heads of countries are all dictated by religion. I've never heard or seen of a head of a country, a president, prime minister, a king or queen or anything who is not driven by religion.
Well, how would you say that about Trudeau?
He talks about being Christian all the time.
I don't hear that. I don't
Yeah.
hear him. I hear him.
Catholic,
I hear him. Yeah, but
French Catholic.
that's not the first thing I think about of
It's
him.
not, but it's not the first. But what? How many times do you even in the States, for example? You think they'll ever elect somebody who's not religious? No.
So Kennedy was like the first Catholic they fucking elected.
Catholic, yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was a huge thing at the time,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like because it was, I guess, dominated by Protestants the whole time, and so it was the idea of a Catholic was
They'll
like,
never elect an atheist.
but will they?
Nope.
Would they? You never thought they would have fucking. So I agree with, like, I don't disagree with that comment, but that I'm not putting a stopgap on that ever. Like, I'm not with all this fucking UFO talk.
True.
Like all this, our minds have been expanded.
I agree, but still, at the end of the day, there's just certain values, like you have to be married, you have to go to college. All these, there's these basic things
white.
that it's gonna be. You have to be white.
But how much is
of
that
it.
not going to be the way it goes all the time?
For the foreseeable future?
I know that's
I just feel like is a lot of the world, right or wrong, is dictated by religion. I know you'll agree with this. No matter what, a lot of it's dictated by religion. Almost every country has their head of state is religious,
But I
even if
think-
they lie about it.
Yeah, so that's the thing.
Yeah.
How much are they lying about it before they fucking actually? Then that becomes not. It's okay to just tell the truth about that. Like I equate it in a way when Clinton says that he smoked marijuana but didn't inhale. Like we all knew that was a lie.
That's bullshit.
But he was the first president who got to say that he did it. And then it gets to come to Obama, where he was part of a fucking marijuana smoking group at high school.
Yeah.
And again, and so it's like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, it's not such a big deal anymore. He can admit that's not going to be a make or break kind of thing. But the problem, I mean, you're right. That's minority groups controlling what happens in the population. When, like, however many Catholics there were in America before Kennedy gets elected, their ideas, their morals, the scaffolding of what they believe in was not given a second thought.
Yeah,
Like,
but I think the minority groups are the people who aren't religious. I think majority of the world is religious in some aspect.
Yeah, I guess so.
Then it isn't. I think
But not in my. It's never really been in my world.
Which is why I have to get you to go to church one day.
Why would you want me to?
Why not?
Because
Why would you want to read a Nazi book if you weren't a Nazi?
I don't want to read a Nazi book.
You wouldn't?
Yeah, I don't.
Wouldn't, you wouldn't read Hitler's book?
Would not read Hitler's book
Why not?
because I don't want to. There's nothing that I feel that I would want to get out of it.
But you could learn stuff that you would never learn before. Not necessarily, doesn't have to be a positive thing, but you can learn why you don't like something, why you like. Even though, remember we had this conversation about you want to know who the Nazis are,
Who is playing the game as
who's
a Nazi?
playing the Nazis game.
Yeah.
That's learning about it. That means you know who they are. So what if you went to church and you learned some stuff about church that you actually liked?
I'm not scared of that thought. I personally would rather talk to you about it.
Yeah, but I
Because-
could be wrong.
It doesn't matter. Yes, you're wrong about a lot of things.
For
You don't.
sure.
You fucking. We'll have lots of topics about
For
that.
sure.
But it's the nature of how we talk.
Mhm.
There's no dictation to the whole structure of church
Yeah.
is annoying to me. The idea of Hitler is annoying to me.
Mhm.
Like I don't want to. I would rather read about a serial killer that, you know what I mean, that I guess is less effective than Hitler, right? Like I don't that's probably more of, yeah, see, but I'm just trying to get the words out properly. Like,
Yeah.
there is interest in there, but I don't feel I'm going to get anything out of it. Like, I guess why I understand why people would want to, but it doesn't, I don't care to know. I don't care to know what makes Hitler tick. And I don't care to know why the guy at church wants to tell me this is the way I should live my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, or if he's just telling random stories, because
Yeah.
it's such a game of telephone.
For sure. That makes it hard. But at the end of the day, the Bible is one of the oldest books in the world, right? You don't think that there would be anything to gain, any sort of knowledge at all? Anything to gain about humanity from that book? Whether it's a game of telephone or not, it's one of the oldest books in the world.
Yeah, that almost makes it the most corrupt thing in the world.
It could be the most corrupt thing.
It's the
but-
most easiest thing to influence people with.
but
You
there's-
hold it up as
there
magic.
will always be something there.
See, the idea of it being like an almighty creator or all this is such magic that you want to deep dive into how that magic is made. And I feel I don't need that to be a good person. If the idea of it is to make us all good citizens, see, this is where it becomes a control tool to me. It's like, how do we organize these villages and all this and all that stuff? And we talked about before is like, if they could have just kept that control to themselves and didn't allow individual thought on this, we all had to have like group thought on it, then that causes problems.
Yep.
Like, I feel that causes these Nazis to be who they are. Like how does this
For
end up
sure.
happening? And I like the idea of expanding it all. Like, I want to allow more of, like, I feel if you get stuck in going to see that church so much, you end up just thinking everybody else is wrong. And then you have a lesser than them. Like, I'm going to be I'm over in my head now and I'm talking, but the idea of like some like a Muslim people, and I don't know how to say this, but that they run a store and they're there in all their garb and they do everything, but they don't want to touch the customer's hands because they're not of them. Or Hasidic Jews, like they got the thing, they think everybody else is lesser than them.
Yep.
They think they're the chosen ones. That's such an arrogant thought. That's such a game of telephone that got into that thought. To dismiss everybody else is so ignorant to me. Like, I don't want to get caught in that thought bubble. I need to be able to expand this as, like, you know what? There's probably a bit of, like, there's structure there that makes them a good society in their own bubble. But if you're hating your neighbors at the same time, right? Like, and you're ignoring that part of the Bible that was even said. The idea of, and I'm obviously over my head, like I said, the idea of an Old Testament and a New Testament, just like, okay, well, we didn't like these ideas. That's evolution, and that's fine. But to leave everything else behind, or to be stuck in the Old Testament and not believe anything in the new one, and then to create this divide, I hate the divide. That, like, I think it's more human to just like to divide. Like, that's why I think everybody's more religious. I agree with you. Is that I hate that part of humanity that wants to other people, and your ideas are the only ones. And I find that the more you get stuck in it, that's probably what could happen.
Yeah, if you get stuck in it, if you do it in a way where it's culty, for example, but that doesn't mean you couldn't go and learn and see what it's about.
You're right.
See one or two having one
Like going to a sermon
going
that you
to
would
a
think that I would
sermon.
get something out of.
Yeah, like you just never know.
Listen,
There's been many times I've gone to church and like say like I've had like a rough week or something at school, and then I go to church one day because it was routine at that point to go to church, and then you go and then they're telling you stuff that just directly relates to your week, that directly tells you, that directly motivates you to get past whatever you were doing at the time, because there was a story that relates to it and the interpretation of that story identifies with your situation. And those things are valuable. It's not church is not always telling you about I think very little of it tells you about other people as much as a lot of it tells you about stories and lessons. It's basically school.
I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I remember what you're saying. But I don't want to subject myself to it.
Why not?
Because I don't.
Because you've already dismissed it. That's a disservice.
It is, but it's not something I think you have to do.
I don't think you have to do it.
I don't think you're wrong in saying that, but I'm going to sound like I'm just like being stubborn on that. I feel I get more out of finding a friend like you and having this conversation.
Yeah,
like
but
those ideas that you
Yeah.
have, like it could be anything. It could be an episode of fucking Superstore. And you're like, you know what? I was just acting as stupid as Amy was.
Yeah,
right.
for
And then you
sure.
get the same. It's like, wow, who am I? I just told you stories. You know what I mean? Of me not taking care of myself or whatever, or even
Yeah.
like using new welders or shadowing. Like how much of that is just me stuck in my ways? How, you know what I mean? Like, and you're right. Like that church could do it, but it's the baggage that comes with it is too overwhelming for me.
Mhm.
Like I've learned enough. I guess this is why I don't feel like doing it. Is I feel I'm doing good enough on my own with it.
Yeah,
Like I'm already open to these kind of conversations with it.
yeah,
And I find my ways to, when I with this Rogan guy talking about like the intelligent design, like, yeah, I can believe in evolution, but like the fact that there's like code in DNA, it's almost like quantum fucking computing and mechanics. Like I can't explain it, but the magic of what that is, I understand it's magic and real. Like I can see it. I can see how something like that works. And the idea that my mind could come to that, like, I don't know. I don't want to go to school. I just don't want to fucking be taught like that. I hate the teachers. Like I
Yeah.
find it's very the politicians that want to politic. I'm not like I'm suspect of them.
Yeah.
The leaders at work that want to be leaders. I'm suspect of them.
yeah.
And the fucking teachers at church. Those have been historically from other stories is been the worst of the lot.
Mhm.
They don't always be
Mhm.
right. Like a Martin Luther King, Dr. Martin Luther King. Like his message was nothing but peace. You know what I mean? Like you can't poke holes in them. You could go and poke holes and say, oh, well, you know what? He like messed around with his wife and all that. Like now you're just looking for things. You're taking away from what good messages he was saying. That doesn't lesser than that, but it's just, it brings up the hypocrisy. It's the fact that I hate people. I hate the lessons, and the game of telephone part of it is just like, it makes me believe less in the story they're trying to say. The moral might be there, but it's not enough for me to dictate or dedicate my whole life to.
Yeah, but you could dedicate one day to it.
Sundays are my best day because I don't go to church. I watch football.
But that's because you've never been to church.
Yeah, but from what I've seen, there's nothing there for me.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
I don't think it's something. You think it's something that somebody has to do?
I don't think anything.
Should I go to
anything.
fucking Tariq's service as well?
I've actually been interested in seeing what like a service in a mosque is like, or like everybody has the like monks and stuff. Like everybody, like all these things are kind of interesting to me because I feel like with something with that much draw, there has to be something.
Why do
there.
people love it so? Why do people
Exactly.
dedicate their lives to that?
Exactly.
I get it.
And so like there has to be some substance. There has to be something I could get out of it. Some sort of knowledge or anything. Even like the whole Buddhist thing. I told my mom one year that I want to be a Buddhist. And she's like, no. But like just like the level of calm and zen that you generally see when it comes to like a Buddhist monk is like there has to be something there. Like I would love to achieve a certain level of calm.
So this is again maybe me cherry picking out of the best of it by not being indoctrinated into any of these other ones. This is what is appealing to you by escaping your mom's cult.
Mhm.
Like, and I'm like, sorry for like being disrespectful.
Well,
on that.
I've been to my mom's church, but I never attended. I was never a member of my mom's current church. All the churches before that has been completely different.
Yeah, I really don't want to poke holes in that, but
Yeah.
like I want to like backtrack when it comes to like the Muslims one and all that. The first time I've seen the inside, like just pictures of a mosque and the fractal fucking art, like it's so psychedelic.
Yeah.
It's so new age, and this is the oldest shit on earth.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, but my society kept that from me. Right? Like the way that I grew up and everything like that, those were so others that they that wasn't taught to us.
Mhm.
Their side of the things was never taught. It was like, no, we're the good guys. And it wasn't so much we're good, they're bad, but we're correct and everybody else kind of isn't. And it's just like to learn how like what beauty lies within they have and their ideas. Even the fucking rock that they walk around, that
just
could be a
crazy.
meteorite.
Yeah.
Like whatever. Like
It literally
the idea
could
how
be.
like and tying it to fucking UFO ideas that I can get on board with. It's like, huh. But like society that grew everything that we have here kept that from me. Like that's the religion I hate. That's a part of the religion I hate, is that they don't allow for everybody's ideas.
But they allow for everybody. Anybody can become a Muslim. Anybody could become a Christian.
No, but what I'm saying is I had to learn that on my own. If I got caught up, you take me to a church service and I'm digging that, I'm doing that, then it's on me to go and hear another story.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's part of like whatever, like human growth. Like I find it easier to stay in that bubble, like everything else. Right. It's just like, I discovered Lego fucking 10 minutes ago, but it's been there the whole time.
Yeah.
And I find it ironic, like it was there the whole time. You know what I mean? And then we go to the show and just like, oh, Kevin could call us nerds, but fuck, have you seen these guys? Right? Like, well, I can like The Mandalorian, but have you seen these guys? Yeah. Like, it's always something, and we could be like, we can admire it at the same time as we like, what else do these guys do? Mm-hmm. Like, what do their fucking houses look like? You know what I mean? Like, look at his basement, and then again, Brixie leans into it, and now he makes money making videos about Lego.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to sweat his ass off like we do.
Yeah.
Like, we come to the beginning concept, like, I would fucking love to get into that world. And I see that. So that's not like nothing to do with church or whatever, but that's just expanding your little universe. That's like becoming like, oh my God, I never knew about Lego. Even
oh my God, I never knew about Christianity.
But what I know about it, I've not been impressed with.
But you don't know.
But what I know about it, I've not been impressed with.
But you don't know.
But I know something. Because
like it's like the same thing that we have like when after 9/11, everybody just thought Muslims were suicidal maniacs, when that's what people know. Some people, that's all they know. And they could just go rest on that laurel and be like, yeah, that's what I know about it, so I can dismiss it. But that's far from the truth.
But, okay, and again, when 9/11 happens, I've already known, not like I know you, I've already known about Muslims and Sikhs. Like I live in Toronto.
No, I know you.
No. But this is me in my own experience.
For sure.
I don't get influence on the rest of society, but I know that's not true.
But you got influence based on how you were growing up.
If I stayed in certain bubbles that were presented to me in a certain way, then I might have had that thought.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, because I rejected that, like that bubble and just allowed it to maybe exist, and then allowed all other, like, wow, everybody's interesting. Like all this is like going on. And just like, oh, well, that was, I mean, 9/11 is a whole different thing, but you can just say like, oh, that I never thought everybody thinks that is great. You know what I mean? Like nobody that I'm working with, I've never thought that like was on board with that kind of terrorism. Mm-hmm. Like I find that people come in, they just want to live. They want to live in their ideals and worship what they worship. Mm-hmm. But the whole part of it is love thy neighbor, right? And then I might go to church and think like, oh, this is the message that is being taught here, and that's fine. But I'd rather come to that on my own. Like, I'd rather come to that with this conversation. Mm-hmm. I'd rather come to that with thinking, like, there could be this fucking hardcore atheist at work, and there could be Tariq, and there could be you, and then there could be, like, the owner of the company that goes to church every day or every Sunday or whatever, right? And just like, oh, we all live together. We all have common goals and whatever, like community. But I don't want to, like, stay, like, I don't think it's as important as people. I don't think church and that idea of a God, as silly as it is as important as people say it is.
That's only because you were growing up in a way that made it less important. That's the only reason.
And that's why I reject things that make it so important.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's right, or that doesn't mean that it is not important. It doesn't mean any of that realistic. And for me, just because I grew up in it doesn't mean that it is important. But having something there and having something as old as time is important. We naturally keep history. We naturally learn from history because we're humans. So we can't just dismiss it.
So I'm not just putting alcohol in it for alcohol. We love alcohol. So most towns, like to say our town here, has probably almost as many churches as they do bars.
Less churches than bars.
Okay, but whatever. Almost equal amount of community areas.
Yeah.
The ideal bar, in my mind, is better than the church because it allows everybody's idea to come to fruition.
Yeah, but everybody's idea is not a good idea.
No,
so.
But but that's why I like the Nazi game. I want to know who lives and breathes in this game.
Yeah.
if you told me you played it, I'd be like, whatever questions and do this. And then I would imagine you would be able to explain yourself in a way that I could respect or just whatever, understand. Right. But if somebody came to me and said, yeah, you know what? The Nazis, fuck, too bad they lost or whatever. Like there's this Oppenheimer movie's coming out, right? Like if the Germans got the bomb, God, we would have been in such a better place. And you're looking at it and go, you wouldn't have been born. You know what I mean? Like you would have been speaking German right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like lots of things would have happened. And that ignorance, right? I don't want to dismiss it out of ignorance, right? I wouldn't have this conversation if I was wanting to be ignorant about it.
I know.
It's just that diving in whole stock, I don't find the value of it. The idea of the harmony that you speak of only comes from the conversation, and that's where like the bar comes into. It's where the community to gather. It's just a natural. I mean, then you get this bar against that bar. You know what I mean? Like it'll all devolve. Like it's the opposite of evolve. It's devolves into common ideas. And we're so much more than that. And then when this guy comes on to like Rogan explains, like, yeah, when you fucking get quantum and you DNA and like you could put code on DNA, it's just like that's magic. But it's real. Like it becomes from science. And like, again, you could be like too hardcore into science and just say, fucking, well, really, what are they about? Like, okay, I don't know, right? I don't want to keep making more analogies of it, but the idea of it is not appealing to me. But I'm rather more have this conversation with you than hear somebody else lecture about it, like their ideas. Like what I missed, I topped up when I realized the beauty of the inside of a mosque blew me away because my idea before that, even like before 9/11, whatever, all that, it was just like, it's such a Stone Age cult. It's such a opposite way of what I was brought up in. It was like less personal freedom. And I want all the personal freedom I can get. I want you to have all the personal freedom you to get. I laugh at your discipline with the kids. I mean, it's more admirable than nothing. But the fun is what your mom gets to say is, oh, wait till you have kids. You know what I mean? Like it comes back on you. It's like, yeah, you think you have these ideas, but you know what I mean? Like just try to get them to play out. Or, you know what I mean? Like all good ideas, you're going to get punched in the face. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like life is going to happen to you. You can't just go by that rule. And I'm over it. You should have stopped this 10 minutes ago. But
10 minutes.
But you know what I'm like? That's what I'm trying to like. That's how I'm trying to say it. I want to be more open to the personal. I think we're all so valuable inside, and we can dismiss not everybody.
But you can do both, Jay.
Why would I? I'm not trying to be ignorant about it, but the appeal is not there.
Yeah, but you know, there's. You can't tell me that there's a. You can't tell me that you haven't discovered things that you never saw appealing before.
Well, that's what I'm trying to bring up in the...
I was brought up in school, don't do drugs, don't smoke weed, don't do any of that. The moment I smoked weed in grade 8, I was like, what were they talking about? There was no, I used to say to myself, I'm never going to do drugs, I'm never going to smoke weed. The moment I did ecstasy for the first time, I was like, oh my God. Like, are you serious? These guys have been telling me all this, and look at this amazing thing that there was no appeal before. Sometimes you might just have to experience something to get something out of it.
Yeah, well, I'm scared that the experience that you're asking me to do
it will turn you into a cult.
Would lead me into the less. Yeah, less.
I would never let that happen. I'd drag you out, Jay. I'd drag you out by your ears. Like, Jay, let's go.
Obviously, I'm not going to do that. Right? Like that's not the ultimate fear. Yeah, but that's how unappealing it is to me. Right? That's the idea of that. The lessons being taught to you are taking you away from those experiences. Really bums me out. Really makes me not want to fucking like. Even if I know somebody, if somebody doesn't drink, I don't think less of them. I get it if they haven't. You've had your fucking times. You know what I mean? Like,
but I would never classify myself as.
Yeah, but so you're riding both fences. Like you're the perfect example of it. But this is why this is a fun. Not to everybody listening, but this is why it's a fun conversation, because I just like shadowing people at work or trying to do welder. I had to come to a point where I'm just being ignorant. And so
yeah, with the welder staring at you in front of your area.
I am busy making things. I'm busy getting shit done.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Right? Like you and your theory and your fucking writing it down on paper. I got steel to fucking
You're right,
paper.
you're
Or
right.
steel to the concrete.
You're right. You're right.
Somebody needs to do the work there. So that's the problem. You see yourself as the guy on the pulpit.
No way.
No, listen, not. Yes, influencing people in this way. If
Yeah,
you were that
okay.
person on that pulpit, you would be saying what you believed in, and be righteous in it, right? Like you, as this example, are forgiving and are understanding, right? And a bit of a troll, you know what I mean? Like whatever, to see how much you can get away with and all that. And it's just innocent enough in a conversation. If I'm planning my life around what you say,
True.
then that's a detriment to me.
Yep.
Right? Like that's what the greatest thing about Selena is. Like she calls you on your bullshit every minute of the fucking time that I see her. She's not just like, she doesn't, but that doesn't stop you from being who you are.
No.
Right? That's how you get to be. That's why it's a great example of the two of you becoming a fucking Voltron. You know, like you're better together than you convincing her to be more like you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can joke about the frustration of it, but she's just as strong-willed as you are, and that's why you probably get along.
Stubborn. Yep. I
Yeah,
agree.
but we all are,
I
right? And
agree.
so I don't want to get
Selena's
stubborn.
Yep. Jay said Selena's stubborn. Continue. Yeah. Sorry.
See, that's why you want to be on that pulpit. You want us all to believe what you're saying. And I don't like other people's ideas for the most part.
Okay.
But I live and breathe on other people's ideas. Like, what if I didn't listen to you about Lego?
I was about to say, there's Lego ideas.
This is
You would have not experienced this beautiful new world
exactly
of clicking bricks.
That's exactly
together.
it. It fills so many fucking things that I enjoy, right? Like it. I like building shit. I do it for a living. The first thing I thought of, and I talked about a long time ago, is this like a couples therapy type of thing? And yes, you know what? In a way, it's a thing that will stop you from having to go to couples therapy.
Yeah.
Like learn how to build this with your wife or
Yeah.
whatever, and just like be part of a team. Like it's hard for me to do, and then we kind of learn our way. But then it's got all these other things like I like collecting things. I like fucking whatever, just all this whole new world. And I see that, and I see that's personal growth. But I'd rather, I don't know, I spend more of my time concentrating on shit like that. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think the point is lost here. But the idea of religion and God and making your life like run around those things, I've heard about way before I heard about Lego. Like I'm dismissing it in a way. I guess you're trying to say now. Like, do you feel like I'm dismissing it? Like you're about to tell me that you should do Lego, and now I'm not
Yeah,
doing that.
that's what I was trying to get.
But the world doesn't talk about Lego. Like you said, well, the
That's
world runs
true.
around this shit.
yeah, for sure.
So I've heard enough of it. You know what I mean? Like I can get by without it, right? And think about it in these ways. Like so, to get back
But
to this,
would your life be worse?
I can't say in my mind. Yeah, it might be because it might stop me from being more open to other things.
Or it might
Might
make
make me hate my neighbor
Or
more.
it might make you open to other things.
It just
I
might.
grew up in church and I don't hate anybody except for bad drivers.
Fuck you. Yeah, you get. You're being a bit grand. You have your issues with people.
I do, but hate never.
Yeah, well, that might be a product. So, do you think I hate people more than you do? Do you think I have more hate in my heart than you do?
I don't know.
Like,
if
I don't want you to be-
I don't
hold-
know if you have hate in your heart more than me, but
What do you
I
see
think
missing?
we hate people the same.
So, what's missing out of me not being brought up the way you were?
I have no idea. That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, but
That's why
we
I want you to go to
conversate.
one service. I don't know. I have
For
no
a
idea.
fucking podcast episode, I might, but
Okay, yes, for a podcast episode.
but because you want it to happen so much, then no. That's
No,
not, I'm not
fuck.
fucking. I'm not saying yes or no to any of this. I got to worry about my tragic hip. But yeah, like I can't sit here and just fucking rest on it's all fucking bullshit. But
yeah.
in my
But if you went to a service, you could say it's all bullshit. I went to a service one time and it absolutely didn't connect to me. I just didn't get it. It was this. I hated this about it. I didn't like this about it. Or you could be like, you know what? That actually was very insightful. I never thought about this in this way. And a thing, you know what? I'm going next weekend for the rest of my life. Or there could be an
there could be an in-between. Yeah, let's say it's not so
in-between.
extreme. So again, not to be disrespectful, but I've had examples of certain things. Like I fucking could not stand your minister at your wedding.
Yeah.
I fucking hated almost every word that came out of his mouth.
A lot of people don't like him. But how much of that is your notion, your pre-notion? How much of it is that?
It's the subjugation of you. It's his idea of his superiority. Again, this is my maybe whatever. You can explain this my idea. But his words were meaningless to me. His the things he made you do in the name of God were all for him and his ideas. Not just him. It's a grander thought. But these are just like these are human fucking exercises. Like the whole fucking kneeling, the whole water on the fucking forehead, whatever these things were. I'm mixing things up, but these are the other examples, just like at your wedding, that I've seen at other fucking weddings. Like the grandeur of their fucking thought, they just love hearing themselves talk.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't be talking to you if I thought that's who you were. Mm-hmm. You obviously do like to hear yourself talk. I like to hear myself talk. Mm-hmm. We have found a middle here to fucking listen to ourselves. And you know what I mean? We're still growing in that.
For sure.
I have to explain what a podcast is. It's just a conversation, right? But this wouldn't happen if we didn't dedicate fucking 18 hours to have this 1.5 hour conversation. Like, because we had a great conversation before we even came up here.
Yep.
Right? Everything we end up having shows before the shows.
Yep.
Like all those things happen. If I felt that I think that this happens because I wasn't hanging on every word he said. And I know you weren't either. Mm-hmm. I know you like the overall, you can just, I like this, I don't like that. But the arc of it, the aura of it is what you are all about. And the acceptance of all that is what you're all about. And in your mind, that also allows for Tariq and the fucking other, and whatever that is. But I find that unique. It might not be as unique as I think it is, because I don't have fucking 2-hour conversations with other people. Mm-hmm. But I'm the type of person that's willing to have that. And I find that sticking myself in other bubbles is going to lead to less of that. And so I'm just bringing that up as an example of where I've heard ministers like talk, and it does nothing for me.
You haven't found the right minister. That's what they would say anyways.
Of course that's what they say, but what else are they going to say?
So the reason you didn't like that, and I don't really care for that pastor that much, is the same reason I don't like my mom's pastor.
Well, you don't like
it's like amped up a little more.
Well, yeah, you must hate the influence that they have on your mom.
Yeah, and like he does like a lot of I don't know how to explain it, but like that's the same reason. And you know, they say that you need to it's like finding a physical therapist. You got to find that person that's telling you, because most of the time, most of these physical therapists are going to tell you the same thing in a window. They all go to the same school. They all learn the same thing about the same body. But how that person connects to you is the same way you would have to find a pastor that connects to you. And that you have that connection that speaks the language that you understand, even though they're all talking about the same thing, like within a specific religion, right? That's how they view it.
You don't have to expound on that, but that's a really great thread.
Yes, like okay. I'll ask my cousin to make sure we.
No, not for me, but that's a great thread to look at it by.
Damn it!
Like with the physio like part of it, like you know what I mean. Like I don't. I'm not trying to discount like that would give me. I would benefit from it in a way like that, but I would rather just look for another physiotherapist. Like with the religious part of it, though, is that if I would rather figure out my life and my worldview on my own without that influence. Like a physio, like I can, like the reason why I got to Julio and I like him so much, because I went to, like, I finally went to one before him, right? Like, and I was just like, first of all, you can say, well, you finally went. Like, you can't complain about your leg for so long. Can't complain about your soul for so long without somebody teaching you about it. I'm not complaining about my soul. So I'll get to that in a second. But the leg thing, so it's like, okay, well, I guess she's a physiotherapist, but I really don't feel much benefit from that.
Yeah.
I'll try again. In that, I need to make my relationship with her. I got to do my part. I got to come. I was like, maybe she's seen people come once. And then when I went to make the third appointment and realized she was like, she was quit, she's going to another place. Like, oh, no wonder she was disinterested. So, okay, I got to find somebody else. And just randomly, I find another person who's so engaged. And I'm like, I wasn't ready for him to say what he said about my hip. That was like a revelation. And so
Jay, you're proving my point.
I'm not
You
saying you're
realize
wrong.
this?
You're right. That's a great thing to say. You just haven't found the right pastor. But I think I guess is this ignorant? My soul, I'm in charge of my soul.
Mhm.
The idea that I need to give it over to somebody else and their rules about bending down in water and listening to this is just like so opposite of what I think a God would want. I think figuring it out on my own might take going to one of these places or doing something like that, but I get more satisfaction on just learning it, you know what I mean? Like through an open society.
That's fair. But then how long do you go until you realize your soul needs a hip replacement? Before you didn't
You already
realize
know what your
it,
title's
I
gonna
would
be.
been holding that the whole time. Jay, you know
Fuck you.
how long I've been thinking about this? I've been trying to get there, okay? Just let me have my moment. Can I have my moment? Can I have
That was
it?
so good I had to stop the fucking whole episode. My soul needs a hip replacement. Fuck you.
Like how like maybe you just need to go to a soul physical therapist
Why can't you
one
give this to me?
time.
What are you not giving me that some fucking clown on a fucking pulpit can give me?
That I can't answer.
That's retarded then. Then
I
that's
can't
almost as
answer
retarded
that.
as me being so stubborn not to go.
The only way I could say that is that this person practices that every day, and
That makes them almost stuck in their ways.
I agree. That's why I can't answer it.
And the importance put on that compared to the physio is what I reject.
Mm,
And that's why I found that if I stayed down a certain path when I was younger, like I told, like I would be way worse off. I wouldn't have even considered you as a friend
mhm.
because of other people's retarded ideas,
Absolutely.
right? And they would even tie God into that.
Yeah.
Like others, animals, fucking, you know what I mean? Like peasants, let's make them fucking slaves. Let's make them fucking do our, you know what I mean? Like all that shit
Yeah.
came from those ideas.
Yeah.
And so I reject that wholeheartedly, and I don't want to be any part of that. Because I'm so human and we fall these traps, I reject it because I'd rather go to the more open side. And I know you're a perfect example. If you don't, it's not as bad as I think it is.
Mhm.
But I just reject it. I just reject it. I don't. I guess it's more just damaging to my soul. Like what? I've been on this bad hip for fucking 20 years now. So I guess my soul might wait another 20.
But it's looking like it.
But what I just told you can't accept. You're giving me what my soul needs in this fucking.
But maybe
example.
I just can't get. Maybe there's
How
just
dare you.
one thing else. There's just one thing else that, and I'm not even saying like you would become reading your Bible every night and praying every night, or just, but maybe you go that one time and you get this just one little thing that makes you go, that I'm gonna do.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So I don't want to do the work to find that point. Not because I don't want to improve,
Yeah.
but this is what, other than our random podcast, fucked up, this is what I get out of this, like the guest that can come on Rogan and like fucking talk about it, because like he made sense to me, right? Like if the intelligence design of Earth, of you and me, of goldfish, of a weed plant, of fucking the code on DNA and all these things. It's just like, it's so magic. It's science and magic at the same time. And the idea that, and like say, you know what, aliens came and fucking, they've been watching us. They, you know, there's U.S. Senate's about it now and all that. They've been here the whole time. Are they just drones from the U.S. government that they just try to pawn off? Like if you saw a stealth bomber in fucking 1965,
Yeah.
would you think that's a UFO? But
Yeah,
no, they probably had it.
Yeah.
They were building it. They had to rely on what it was.
Absolutely.
So rubes were thinking it's a UFO. But I don't want to stone to death the people that thought it was a UFO. That's the problem.
Yeah.
This is where it comes, like, you know, you other them so much that you can get to stone them to death.
Yeah.
And I just reject that wholeheartedly. I'd rather the open conversation and rather get my soul hip fixed with talking to you like that. And
Even if it's slower.
no, but it's not. I've brought up the point even at the beginning without you even having to lecture me on it, that he made me think that, okay, even punting it down the road to aliens, well, who made the aliens? Right? Like, okay, Big Bang Theory. Well, everything comes down to some magic faith. You have to have faith.
Oh, for
And
sure.
if that's the lesson that you're kind of being taught, I'm not I hope I don't come off here like I'm blustery that I know everything.
No,
And none of our conversations,
none
not
of
just
us. No, we don't know everything.
not today even, but
I think that's our past 80 episodes.
Okay, good.
We don't
Good. I
know
just want to make
everything.
sure because
Yeah.
I that's what I want to be known as.
Yeah.
I want to be malleable, and I want to like not know that. And the idea of falling into one of these traps makes me less that.
Mhm.
Makes me more like not like okay, like drugs. You came to drugs. I can say all day long that I think drugs aren't as bad as we were taught,
Mhm.
but that dismisses the fucking gas district or whatever in Vancouver.
Oh yeah,
Right? Like you can point to the worst example of it.
for sure.
Okay, but then you say, how long do you go? How many Lego conventions do you go to? How many builds do you end up building yourself?
All of them.
Yeah, but then that's not, I kind of want to live in the middle.
Yeah.
I kind of want to just do some sets and admire it and do
Yeah.
it, but I don't want to have it dictate how I live my life.
Okay.
And so the religion part becomes so dictated in how you live your life that I don't want to fall in that trap. I'm so human that I can see myself falling into that trap.
Mm-hmm.
And so where I do think drugs should be like legalized and all that and that so the gas district, whatever, I don't know what the solution is. I'm not saying I do know, but I'd rather it get to that point than just jail everybody that's doing drugs on the street, because drugs, whatever, the idea of drugs has been mismanaged.
Yep.
And I think maybe religion has been mismanaged.
Yep. For sure.
Because certain ones come to power and then you just allow. And our country has allowed so many to come in that we can have Sikhs and Hindus and all that. That's why I love the fucking NDP guy. He's the truest Canadian I can think of because he knows what it's like where his parents came from.
Mm-hmm.
My parents came from even like I could think of was a stifled area. But the rest of the world, well, it's the most progressive, you know what I mean? Like place in the world.
Yeah.
Right? How dare you think there's nothing less there? But yeah, but come over here and just allow it to fucking flourish and allow our neighbors to be all the different. You fucking drove up the street to come and pick me up. The rainbow of fucking society was on that street.
Yeah.
And we all get along.
I'm pretty sure I saw a pride flag too.
You probably, yeah, I'm sure you did. Right? Like, so that's what, okay, you come to that. I don't want to have, I can have my thoughts on that, but I don't want to be 100% negative.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I can bring up nature and I can bring up that, but it's like, what are we really talking about? And so you're right. I get religious and zealot in my thought of the people that hate that side of the world. And then you get to, it's like, okay, LGBTQ guys, you're taking this a little too far. Right? But who am I to say how far they should push it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be that type of person. So I get enough of my religion. You're my minister.
Okay.
All right? Like I'm not promising nothing, but you're right. I can't dictate, but I just want to get my point across from why I don't want to wholeheartedly go in on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I'm not going to wholeheartedly go in on Lego. I'm just going to, get where I get.
Speaking of Lego, we went to the Lego convention.
Holy shit! This is just such an innocent conversation
that was a
with
great
that.
intro.
Fuck! Can you break that down into 5 episodes?
Probably.
That's fucking just expounding on our 10. That was so inspiring. Right? We went to the Bricks and the Six. It was like and everything there is. I guess they take some, like most of it's all just created from scratch.
Yep.
But they take some sets and like they play around with it.
Yeah.
Excuse me, like they'll take the Titanic and they'll have it sinking in an iceberg.
Yeah. That was really cool.
And people should go to Brixie on YouTube.
Yeah.
And he was there. And so it was overwhelming to me. You heard me go off about it. I think I brought it to your attention. We tried to go together.
Yeah.
You fucking dismissed it. You never wanted to go.
Never. No. Yeah.
And so we eventually got our tickets and we went on Saturday. And I was, like I said, blown away. I don't know what I'm missing. I'm not talking about it. But when I came back, I sent you a bunch of pictures and videos. And you were like, God damn, look at that. Look at that. And there was like, oh, I wish I went. And then you went the next day from me showing you, I guess, all the pictures. And what was I going to say? Fuck, I was going to say it. So I get like my point's gone. But I don't know what I was expecting to see. Like we've talked about like people working at Lego, making these ideas and how do they come up with it? Like what brick to put where and do all that. There are thousands of people that are overqualified to work for Lego.
Yeah.
What I've learned. Right? Like I went from being like admiring and not stopping, but admiring the people that come up with the sets that we've bought. It's like, wow, imagine being in the fucking Lego factory, building these things or coming up with these ideas. But Lego's in the fucking best place because the public comes up with their ideas for free.
It's genius.
It's so fucking genius. It's ridiculous. And so, these guys are like, and we talked about the Lego Masters TV show. Like I slept on that. There's thousands of people that are dying to get on the Lego Masters show that are probably just as good as them. It's like listening to a good singer on American Idol. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah. Wait, what's the grand prize for the Lego Masters show?
Probably a gold brick of Lego.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what it is.
I thought they were gonna get a job at Lego or some shit.
What I've learned, okay, you and I, or that's like might be a grand thought, but it's the ultimate respect of all these Lego nerds that were at this convention we were at. Like they kind of all know each other.
Yeah.
They go from convention to convention. This Brixie on YouTube, you know what I mean, was talking about people he's like only Instagram fans of, like as he's fucking showing the things they've made. Some people he's knows as friends. Some people he's like knows online. Some people that were making things were telling him how he inspired them.
Yeah.
He's like talking about whatever they made, and he goes, "Yeah, I saw what you made, and I needed to step up my game." And so, I found it so overwhelming. I don't know. I had a lot of feels. When I first walked in there, I was like, again, blown away.
It's crazy because when you first go in, one of the first couple of things you see is like, Union Station, right? And you're like, what the fuck?
CN Tower.
The CN Tower. You're like, holy shit. And then you turn the corner and you see this massive spaceship and you're just like, this is what I'm expecting now. Like you just got in the doorway. You just got into the entranceway. And you haven't even gone, you don't even get into the room yet, realistically. You're still on the outside of it.
You're the lineup.
It's like, wow.
That's a good point. Like the first thing you see is like the downtown Toronto Union Station and the CN Tower. And I guess that's the beginning of it when we're talking about now. It's just like, oh my God. Like never mind kids. Never mind as a kid, your imagination. The idea that you know what bricks to use to start the base of your CN Tower.
Yeah.
Like, do you think like they made a bunch of them that fell apart?
Of course.
Okay, I don't know. How long do you think it figures to make the proper CN Tower?
I don't know, but like I know that rocket ship, they said they took 1,500 hours of designing. Like, what?
Don't they have a day job?
Our job.
That's what I'm saying. Like, can you work at our place, please?
Yeah.
Like, so I was so like that part of me that I admired everything I saw.
Oh yeah.
I felt that was like a little bit of I was overwhelmed by the exposure. Like I was just like, oh, okay, so the Sopranos building, fine. You know what I mean? Like I just like
really?
move on. Like,
Yeah.
oh, the Tim Hortons. Like, okay, move. Oh, Schitt's Creek. Okay.
Oh, why didn't they make that bigger?
Yeah, exactly. See, I fucking said that. Those words came out of my mouth. It's like, how they expect me to respect that Tim Hortons when the train is twice the size as a building?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
fucking, like, come on, people.
Come on, train, just get out the way because you're moving
No,
on
just,
Lego wheels.
do me a favor. Like, don't come here next year with your pity ass Tim Hortons fucking restaurant.
Man.
I was so inspired.
Yeah.
Like I got like it had everything for me. Like it had like the collectability part, the fucking kits that we were doing, the realization that I am such a noob. Like nobody wants to be a noob in anything.
Mhm.
You realize that, and we have people in our lives that they don't even know it yet that are so newbie to us.
Yep.
But like, oh man, like these guys are on such another level.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I could ever get there.
No.
I don't know if I could ever get there.
I think that's too much. I think that's something like that would do I would admire from afar.
So, no, this is odd. If Lego, I'm stretching here. So this is why I started growing weed, but not because of Lego, but just imagine this, is because it wasn't allowed. Like that, the idea of weed wasn't allowed to prosper in society,
Mhm.
right? Like it was illegal by the fucking law. Like it was stamped down. Now I don't grow weed because society's made it the better than I can make it,
Mhm.
right? Like just imagine that you were not allowed to make your own Legos. Like imagine you can only just make Legos that they made for you, right? Like free society is allowed like Legos to flourish,
Mhm.
right? This way, and it's like it's in a way it's the opposite of weed. It's like, oh, imagine how much you would love weed if you could grow it yourself. And so I only did it out of necessity. This is like the opposite. I'm just like going, I'm grabbing the off the shelf Lego and realizing, no, the real Lego world is what you can create out of your mind.
Well, that's how it started. They started with 2x6 bricks, right?
I know, but now we're talking like before
I know,
our podcast before the podcast with Selena was involved in this one was just like these people can know the pieces by name.
Yeah.
And they know which pieces are retired. cheese wedge. Yeah, I know that. I call it still the little mini pyramid, but I don't know. But yeah, cheese wedge. And like, oh, this clear, that clear. Oh, look at how they use these 1x2 clears and this and that. And even things that I saw myself when I watched the Brixie YouTube videos, I'm like, oh, what's admirable is how much he admires what they've done, right? Like my love of Lego was just blown away and like kind of overwhelmed by it. But he stops at because he makes money on YouTube, like we hopefully will one day.
Yeah.
He fucking stops and breaks it down into what pieces they are, what they've done before. Like he had nothing but love.
Yeah.
Nothing like he edited, but nothing came out of his mouth that's like, why did they do that?
Yeah.
He was like, oh my God, isn't it amazing they thought of it to do it like that? And he admires angles of stuff. So they look at things that we do and they look to how to make it better. Like I'm building the castle right now and I'm just like blown away with the design that the actual Lego people are. But people like them are going like, oh, you know what? I could use this to make blah, blah, blah and make their whole, fucking medieval or like it gets redundant. I guess this is the negative thing I could say or I allowed it because I guess I didn't concentrate as much as I was, but it's like, oh, another Star Wars display.
Yeah.
Oh, another medieval fucking display. But then when I watch it with time on my hands in my house on YouTube, it's like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. And I'm just so I don't know. I don't know if I can ever get there like that, but I mean, you said like that's like the biggest show in Canada.
Yeah.
I guess the one that was here.
The biggest Lego show in Canada.
And the first thing, again, you're always looking for more. What you want to go to one of the States.
I want to find one in the States. I wonder what that would be like. You know what I mean?
I think I just get lost in it.
Oh man, you'd have to be like, that's a whole day spent. I imagine it would be like a whole day spent convention type thing.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Like,
I don't know if I could spend a whole day in that sweaty, nerdy fucking
yeah, but
And-
I think like in the States, it's like, I would imagine it being big enough where like they have to do things like you have to have food courts, like you have to like when you go to the car show, there's
Well, I
like
see what you're
food
saying.
courts and there's like different things going on.
you're
Like
right.
I would imagine it would just be just that much bigger.
So you know what I think I've learned from this now? Because when we went there, we got a bunch of cards from the people doing their things. And so you can buy blueprints off of them.
Mhm.
And you just fucking put a pin in my balloon earlier before the show telling me that, yeah, you might not get the pieces that you want to get.
Yeah.
And I thought, what, I can't go to the Lego store and get every single piece they make?
Yeah, no way.
That's ridiculous. I
It's
thought for
nuts.
sure you should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Why? Anyway, so that's a whole so I'm nerding out into the whole, now this is a whole new level, right? Like I've gone from I'm not even started to use my own imagination. I'm like, oh, I'm not even stuck on what Lego wants me to do. Now there's all these nerds that build their own thing, sell their blueprints, but wait, it's going to take a while to find those pieces.
Yeah.
I got to go buy a Disney castle just to get one
Just to get one
cheese
piece.
wedge. And that's what these guys do.
Yeah.
The guy took a Titanic and broke it up to make a fucking
Yeah.
a sinking Titanic.
That's why
diorama.
the guy is sitting there digging through the bin. He's like, I need to find a purple cheese wedge.
You're right, and that's
eggplant.
How dare you? Don't sully up our Lego. So I was, like I said, it was a realization. You know what I mean? Like just scratching the surface.
Mm.
As much as I think this is a whole thing, but it was like there was nothing wrong about it.
No.
Other than me, like I said, like I almost wish I could go to it again this weekend, realizing I didn't just like, I mean, I don't know, I'm probably pulling myself out of the situation because I thought I was there long enough and saw what I needed to see, but just like, you really didn't concentrate on that enough.
Mhm.
But it was, like I said, inspiring in more ways than one.
Yeah. It was
I
really
would
good.
definitely go again.
Yep.
I don't think I would plan a trip to the States to see one like you right now, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's a terrible idea.
I think it's
yeah.
a great idea. Imagine it's in Florida.
Well, for sure, we've already
While
thought of
you're
going.
there.
We've already thought of going to the Lego Land in Florida. But Tammy, we already realized it's not. It's a pure kids place.
Yeah, it's like a kid's thing.
It's a pure kids place, and you can get more out of just going to a store than just Lego
But
Land.
imagine there was a Lego convention the same week you're in Florida. You wouldn't go?
Yeah, I'd go. 100%.
Yeah.
I've already. This is way above.
You already Googled it?
No. This is nothing. This is another side project. So when weed was legal, I went to Denver a couple times.
Oh,
and the
yeah?
first time was purely just to go to Denver for weed. The second time might have been to time it with a football game to go see the Broncos play. And then the third time was Tammy found out there was like a Hello Kitty convention going on. This is
Oh,
another
yeah?
collectible. Again, I'm not
She's
bringing
into Hello Kitty.
She's into lots of collectible things and like plushy, cute, like especially the Japanese shit. Whatever, it's all crazy, right? But she's not into anime like you or whatever. But yes, she was like, "Oh my god, there's a Hello Kitty thing." So every time she was just going for me for weed and football and found what else to do. But she was like, "Hey, we're going when they have this fucking this stupid Hello Kitty convention thing." And I'm like, "Really?" It's like, "Well, hey, as long as we're going, I could care less."
Yeah.
We went with friends, right? We went at the same
They
time.
like Hello Kitty too.
They had nothing to do with the Hello Kitty. I don't know what they did. They did something else on that day that we went to that. And it wasn't that great. Like it was just in the fucking Pepsi Arena, whatever it was. It was a whole, obviously a big kitty thing type of do. But they sold exclusive things there. Like it was like Hello Kitty thing. So if I'm not above doing that, I'm definitely not above doing the fucking Hello Kitty or the Lego convention thing. I would 1000% tie that into something.
Maybe you should check it out if there is.
I
one.
might. All right. My vacation's already all booked up for this year. I got 2 more days left.
Unless it's in Florida.
If it's in Florida on the time that we go, then yeah, I would probably do it. I'd be a
Yeah.
fool not to.
That would be cool.
What am I doing? Oh, well, I'm in Vegas. I'm going to Vegas in August before I go to Florida in October.
So which week are you going to Vegas?
August 20th.
August 20th. And that's already booked.
It's already booked.
You're going for 1 week.
5 days. Yeah, 4 or
5
5
days?
days. I mean, I've already. So this is okay. So total sidebar. You don't even know anything about this.
What?
This is not even
First your skin graft, now this?
Yeah,
Fuck
this
Jay.
is not as personal. You know what I started thinking about that came into my mind for no reason at all is go-karting.
Oh, I love go-karting.
You remember when was the last time you went go-karting?
On the kid's birthday last year.
You
No.
lucky-
After that, I went to the one in Mississauga with my cousin.
You lucky fuck. So I've discounted it all. Like what? I used to love it. The only problem about go-karting is it just ends up costing you so much more money.
Yeah.
And it's so fun.
Yeah.
And I fucking 30 years ago, whenever they opened the first indoor one up in Brampton, me and Sammy and a couple other guys, like we got our licenses, like we were part of the club.
Oh, yeah.
And we almost joined a racing league in Hamilton. Like I was almost so into it, but you just like, you're everything about it, your adrenaline, like just thinking about it makes me fucking hyped up. And getting into this F1 stuff, right? We're going to get another episode with your bad bets costing me more money last week.
You didn't take Russell. You
what?
didn't take Russell last week.
So he might have won his group.
He did win his
Okay,
group.
so you've been holding on that week.
Oh, Jay,
Perez fucked
I've
us up.
been waiting for you to bring it up and say that Russell
Yeah.
did do it, but I was like,
I
fuck.
didn't. So I was going to look into it, and I never did. But we'll get back to F1 in a second.
Yeah.
So in this whole new F1 thing, whatever it was, for some reason, I guess because God's looking over me, he put it onto my YouTube thread, and I was like, oh my! So I saw a POV of fucking a go-kart track, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm in love. When I go to Vegas, I'm going to a go-kart track.
You don't want to go karting with me?
I would love to go karting with you. Way faster than going to fucking church. I'll tell you that right now.
That was easy.
That was so. Oh my god, we'll go there fucking right fucking now.
Oh, man.
And so I can't wait to go.
That's gonna be cool. I know it's gonna be crazy in Vegas.
So we've already looked at the different ones they have,
Yeah.
and just like how much it's expanded since that first day, the days that we went to with the indoor one in Brampton.
In Brampton?
And so I'm just like, this could be my new thing. I don't think we've talked. Like I still Jones when I see a dirt bike. Like that part of my life is over. I got a fucking broken hip. Like I can't get on a dirt bike. The consequence of falling off a dirt bike is too much. Like any kind of bike. I mean, again, I'm shorting myself on the experience. You know what I mean? Like I know, but I've done it and I know what it takes to do. And I think it's more of like a midlife crisis type of fucking deal. This might be too, but the go-karting world might be one of my new deep dives.
Yeah, go-karting is freaking fun. So there's this one we went to last year in Mississauga. It's an indoor one, and it's very F1-esque.
Nice.
Right? They have a steering wheel. They even have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. They don't let you use it unless you're like in the leagues and stuff. But they have like the cars are very looking like F1. They're really fast. They're electric though, but they're really fast, and the track is really fun. So me and my cousin went, and me and my cousin and his 2 kids went. This was probably like October or some shit. And like I just kept telling him, because I was already into F1, and I was like, I'm gonna beat all you guys.
Of course.
There's no way you guys are not gonna. You guys don't even know what an Apex is.
You don't have enough time to fucking start talking all the shit you were probably talking
Oh yeah,
about.
I was
that.
talking a lot of
We
shit.
all understand. We get it.
We went and like I beat all of them, and like you get a printout of all your times on your laps and everything, which lap was just slowest and all this stuff. It was just so fun. They give you a balaclava.
Yeah,
right?
so
You
that
put
was
your
what I was thinking.
helmet,
I was wondering about too, because
Yeah.
the videos I watch, these guys are good enough to put their own videos out on YouTube. So they bring their own helmets. They got their own balaclavas, and so like again, it's been over 20 years since I've gone, and I
It's
remember.
a long fucking time.
I know, but like it was so addicting. It'd be like fucking like I got it. It's just too expensive. Like whatever it is, I just I got out of it and never thought of it again.
Yeah.
I didn't dismiss it. It was just like one of the. That's why I don't do crack. Like it's too good. You know what I mean? I can't get into this world. But this new F1 love that I have, other than I hopefully I would have bet this week. God. So sorry, I didn't even put our bets on Twitter because I was so
Yeah.
disappointed. But you're right. You were right about Russell.
Yeah.
But we got fucked by Perez.
We did. Fucking asshole.
And so, but we were close to being right. So I get distracted. So I think I just like took myself out of that world and never thought of it again. And now watching the videos and the need, like my dirt bike need, like whatever, it could fill it. It's more safe than that,
Yep,
and
yep.
it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere, just like you said. It's more accessible than dirt biking or owning that.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, when I thought of Vegas, it's like, oh, Vegas has everything.
Yeah.
Like we were buzzing out on, like Tammy and I were discussing some shit of what we're going to do and this and that, and somehow some kind of the world's biggest pinball museum came up in our mind. And I love, again, just a random thought. Like I love pinball. Pinball's great. I'm not like the biggest fanatic or whatever, right? But certain old ones I could tell you about and whatever. And just like, oh my God, I would love to go check that out. And
Yeah,
so watch the
that's
video
fucking
of it and this and that.
cool.
Just go, oh, that's cool. But I'm going to drag all of you people. Like, you're going to drag you.
Yes.
Of course, I still might, but that was something that we could do when we're there. And then when I thought of this go-kart, I was just like, oh, for sure Vegas has it. My first, actually, before that thought, I was like, I know they have them in Florida. Like, because like Orlando or that whole area, Universal, like they do nothing but touristy things. So I can think of like a big indoor one and a big outdoor one that I drive by all the time. It's like, oh, after I got into these videos, I'm definitely going there. Oh, I wonder what Vegas has. And then boom. Like they have it all.
Yeah.
And then the appealing thing is just like you said, like, oh, they let the experts do the paddles, but they won't let just people come in. So I can accept that I'm going to be like, maybe I can beat Brenton too. Maybe not you. I'm not going to get you now because you've been into these things. I do know what an Apex is, but I can have it. But the level that you and I at, just let's say we're above, Brenton, and these other people, is that, oh, but there's way more above us. Like I can't go
yeah.
there expecting to use the paddles.
Yeah.
Just imagine I go to the Vegas ones and just get my ease in there. But maybe by day 3, hey man, can I use the paddles?
Yeah,
Can you
you know,
take the governor
what?
off?
Yeah.
And then just to get to do that and get to live it, like it's so yeah. This is my probably before I've even started it. This could be my new addiction,
Oh yeah. Go-kart.
my new
is
religion,
great.
baby.
It's just when it gets to those prices be crazy.
They'd be crazy.
It's a racket.
But if you enjoy it, is it?
No. I mean,
That's one thing. When we almost did it, we enjoyed it so much. We were gonna just like go to church on every Sunday. We were gonna go to Hamilton every fucking Saturday to be part of a racing league.
yeah.
Again, this is decades ago, and then we're just like, yeah, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Too much money. I don't want to take my time.
It's actually kind of crazy because I was watching this F1 video like yesterday or the day before, and it was talking about basically it was talking about do you have to be rich to be an F1 driver? And the guy was basically explaining like, well, yes, for the most part.
Short
yes.
story long.
He's like high level go-karting, you need at least 200K to get in. Like we're talking like freaking fast go-karts.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. But they were explaining that there are some, because they were talking about Lance Stroll and whatnot. They were explaining how some drivers just were able to do it with just being on like middle class type money.
I think Jeff Gordon, the NASCAR racer, he's the same way.
Yeah,
Middle
Lewis
class.
Hamilton was the same way.
Yeah, and then their talent becomes undeniable.
Yeah.
But I don't know how they're doing now. But the same thing, just like soccer and soccer, it's like if you get noticed, you eventually have to leave your startup.
Yeah.
Like somebody noticed Lewis Hamilton and then he was off
Yeah.
to fucking whatever. Like he had to leave home to become a better driver.
Yeah, he had to thing. But they said even if you get sponsors in go-karting, it's not enough to cover the cost.
It can't be because
It's not even
because
close.
it's so amateur,
Yeah, it's
right? Like,
kinda
there is
crazy.
professional version that you see it, but that's because that's the expanse of that world,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's how you get to be like look at Lando Norris and go, how does that baby drive an F1?
Right?
But he was a baby driving a fucking go-kart.
This guy's freaking been in the league for how long? He's 23 in the thing. But it's kind of crazy. And they were saying that, well, and this, I guess this is obvious. Out of all the big sports, it is the most expensive sport to get into. Obviously.
Because you need a car.
Because,
Right, like-
because you actually need a vehicle.
Because-
Because you need to be licensed when you get to a certain level, right? Like they say basketball is obviously the cheapest. You just need a basketball. And
I would think
shoes.
soccer was the cheapest.
They said basketball. And then I guess soccer would be next because all you need is shin pads. I guess the ball and the shin
Yeah.
pads make it more expensive.
Yeah, I guess.
And like hockey is pretty. I think hockey
Hockey's the
was
worst.
second on the list. Yeah.
There's stuff like lacrosse that's in the middle that just like doesn't grab the public's attention,
Yeah.
right? But like that's the worst thing about hockey is the cost of entry,
Oh man.
right? And that's why they have these jumpstart programs and all that. The thing about racing and all that is we all drive.
Yeah,
It's
we
almost
all
like comedy.
drive.
We all think we're funny. We all talk, but try doing it professionally.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get through some fucking bumps and bruises.
Yeah.
Like, sure, you think you can drive. Oh, yeah, you want your Honda to sound like an F1. You know what I mean? Like,
Go
it becomes
ahead.
a
Yeah,
joke.
yeah.
Like, you're so far removed, but who's, you know what I mean? Like, whatever. He still gets to live in that little fake, like, that world of it. But it's just, but it's almost something we all do, right? Like basketball, or soccer, all the, you know what I mean? The levels you can stay at, but we all recognize what it takes to do it, like, for real. Even if my fucking hip is bad for me playing beer league hockey from 20 to 40, some people will look at that like, you're retarded. Why would you do that? You're too old. Like that's a kid's game or a professional.
Yeah.
Stop doing it.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're going to end up needing a hip replacement by the time you're fucking 55. And so who knew? They were right. You know what I mean? Like, so that's where, whatever. This is I was never the biggest F1 fan, but I dig that part of it now. And now, like I said, like I can't wait to go on a go-kart.
Well, let's plan to go karting with me and you at least one time.
Well, that'll happen way before we go to church.
Are you sure?
Yes, I can tell you that right now.
I'm gonna be like, don't worry, Jay. Let's go karting on this Sunday. I will drive.
You asshole. No, I don't want to go karting with you. I don't want to do anything like that. I don't want to give any homework. I don't want to make changes up. Like, I don't know if you got more to say on any of that.
No.
I tried to tie in some of these UFO hearings with what I heard on Rogan and the grander things of stuff, but
I have thoughts.
okay, so maybe some homework on these UFO hearings
Yep,
and what
let's
you
do
think of
it.
that, because I've been here too long. And this is a whole separate thing. I don't want, but I've learned this, and it's what I hate about Florida and stuck in what their ideas were. Because you can, I don't know. Okay, this is just a headline I read, but apparently the curriculum in Florida is trying to teach people, their kids, that slavery wasn't bad for the slaves.
God damn.
That it was almost like an apprenticeship program.
Like that's a rough sell.
They were taking, but so the people in charge are have the ability to make this real. This is where it becomes scary. This isn't just somebody's stupid thought and a YouTube group or whatever they are. This is the governor coming out and saying that he agrees with this stance. That, again, I guess I get to say it because it never affected me. Like, slavery is so far in the past that we forget what it was really about. And we can say that, you know what, we were just giving disadvantaged people the ability to learn skills
Yeah.
without really fucking diving into it. And that's being taught. And so,
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, that's the headline I read.
It's a good thing we had those residential schools, right? Gave them so much.
And who did those? Christians?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catholics.
Yep, Christians. They're
Catholics.
still Christian.
Catholics are not Christians.
They're liking the same dude.
Catholics are not Christians.
Way to dissect it in your own kind of way. You can fucking
They're about the Virgin Mary, okay?
you're in the weeds. They're all fucking in the same boat as I think.
Absolutely not.
I fucking think
There's
that's
no
a great.
nuns in Christianity.
So next week you can fix residential schools for us. You can fix
Yep.
Florida for us,
Yep.
and then we'll get to UFOs just for fun.
Okay, let's do that.
But yeah, those are all grand thoughts.
Well, I have a grand thought.
What's that?
I want to thank everybody for listening to the Work Related Podcast.
Everybody, we wish we could keep talking, but it's been a little bit too long already. I can't thank everybody enough for listening to us. Follow us on Twitter.
Yep.
Maybe see some more of our bad bets, and we'll see you guys next week.
So,